Hey folks, Prepper Princess. So I got a new microphone. I hope that it's working well. Today I wanted to talk to you about living paycheck to paycheck. If you are one of the 78% of people or citizens of the United States that is living paycheck to paycheck, you are not alone. What is living paycheck to paycheck? It pretty much means that you could not survive if it were not for your next check coming in. This is typically for people who have extremely large sums of debt or people who honestly don't really manage their money well enough. This did happen to me at one point in my early 20s. I remember it and I will never let it happen again. I had just gotten paid and I had $17 to my name after paying all of my bills. And it put me in a little bit of a predicament because I had $17 to last me 2 weeks. That included food and gasoline. It was a really scary prospect for me, and it pretty much gave me the motivation to never let that happen to myself again. So if you are living paycheck to paycheck, please remember that yes, you are worthy of being debt-free, and yes, you absolutely can become debt-free as long as you work hard at it and you remain constant in your savings. So what you want to do eventually, or as quickly as possible, not really eventually, is start saving a certain percentage of your weekly or bi-weekly pay until you have a full paycheck's worth of pay. That means that you will be not living paycheck to paycheck, technically speaking. So if you make $700 every 2 weeks, so your main goal should be to save $700 and put it in a savings account so that if something bad does happen, you will at least have 2 weeks to regroup and get your stuff together and make preparations for what is to come. The majority of Americans at this point are so financially and cash strapped that they do not have a $400 emergency fund set aside for any sort of disaster that can happen. And I'm not talking about a crazy natural disaster. This can be anything from a flat tire, maybe your car needs some repair, maybe your refrigerator went out on you, or your air conditioning needs a tune-up. These are, $500 miscellaneous transactions that need to take place. And I think that if you are in a position where you are living to paycheck, there needs to be a change. I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. I have to agree with the great Robert Kiyosaki that the education system has failed me, and it has failed 90% of Americans. That's right, 90%. 9 out of 10 people who have a college education do not have a job in the field of study that they studied. So that means that 10% of people are people where their college education did them any good. If you're one of these 10% of people, I congratulate you. I wish you the best of luck. But for the other 90% of us, college was honestly a big waste of money. And I think that there is a lot that the school system does not teach us. And this is most people, as soon as they reach adulthood, this is going to be their biggest bill until they purchase a home. So that's just my take on it, my 2 cents. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, let's get back to the subject. Just do the best that you can at budgeting. If you have absolutely scrutinized all of your bills, all of your expenditures, everything, you've called the credit card company for a lower interest rate, you've canceled the cable, you don't have a gym membership, you don't have magazine subscriptions, and you don't get manis and petties on a regular basis, you don't go shopping for entertainment, you have not gone out, then this is where you need to possibly live on a cash-only basis. There's a lot of different techniques that you can use. Number one is living on a cash-only system. This means that once you get paid, you go to the bank, you take out the cash, you separate it into gas and food money, and then that's what's going to bring you to the next week. Anytime you run out of money, that's it. You're out. You can't take any more money out of the bank. There's also, a lot of banking apps that will allow you to make transactions with your debit card, and then the remaining amount will be put in automatically into a savings account. So this means if you buy a cup of coffee for $4.17, The additional 83 cents will be put into a savings account. This is an easy automatic thing for people who like to swipe their debit card and have a lot of difficulty saving money. So there's another way that you can do it. These are the two most popular techniques and the most automated techniques that seem to have worked the best for the most people. So if you have this ability, I would recommend calling your bank, seeing if it's something that they can set up for you. If not, go ahead and do an internet search and see if there's a bank that can meet your needs and can provide you with an automatic savings account. Of course, you want to make sure that they do not charge you to have the savings account, because then it becomes counterproductive. And, I just want to reiterate to you guys, don't lose hope. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can get out of it. It took me a year and a half to get out of it. I had that 1 week and then I set aside a small emergency fund, but I didn't reach over $1,000 until my debt was paid off a year and a half later. It can be done. You might have to take on overtime. You might have to take on a second job in order to do it, but you have to pretty much just put on your big boy pants, realize that it's going to suck for a very short amount of time, but once it's over with, you will be able to reach financial independence and you will be able to become debt-free. As long as you do that and you continue to live the same type of lifestyle after you become debt-free, your net worth is just going to skyrocket. And that is my 2 cents on living paycheck to paycheck. Just reduce your expenses. There's a saying that Dave Ramsey has. There's a place for broke people to go, and that's to go to work. So that's what I would recommend: going to work, taking on a second job, maybe a seasonal position, anything that you can do to accumulate more money. And that's very important. I think that I say that a lot, but I don't really think that it gets through to a lot of people. But it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck for a very short amount of time, but you can get through it. And I wish you all the best of luck. I had an amazing day. I had an old friend visit who I haven't seen in 5 years. She's like a second mom to me, and I really missed her. So that is what's going on with me right now. Nothing else in terms of big news. So I hope that this has helped. Please consider contacting your bank to see if you can have an automatic savings plan started. If you can't, then I do recommend living on a cash-only budget, or you can also look into the envelope system or the jar system. It just makes things really easy, automatic, and you know exactly what you have to spend until your next payday. All right, do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. Hey folks, I almost forgot. Don't forget to check out prepperprincess.com. If you want to really step up your prepping game, these are the only products that I support. I will leave the link in the description below. Who's my boy? Rocky Cameo. Rocky Cameo. Who's my boy? Mwah. You're such a good boy.